The world was wrong about you because they looked at you but didn't see you, they heard you but didn't listen. In their disdain, they thought they had silenced you, but little did they know that every moment of invisibility was a silent strike in the divine forge, shaping the chosen one you were destined to become. Now, the tables have turned, and what was once contempt will turn into awe. Like Joseph in Egypt, you were thrown into the depths of the pit, forgotten by those who should have valued you. But God was there, watching, planning, ensuring that your ascent would be as glorious as the forgetting was cruel. Get ready, for your exaltation will be the answer the world never expected. They underestimated you, but that was exactly what God needed. While human eyes saw only a common vessel, the Creator saw a cup of honor. When you were left behind, they inadvertently made room for God to work in you without interruption. They didn't know they were part of a greater plan, where their contempt would become the platform for your elevation. Now, the winds have changed. The very stage where they ignored you will be the one where you are exalted. And they, who turn their faces away, will have no choice but to watch. This is what happens when the chosen ones are enveloped by divine justice. Not only are they elevated, but they are also placed in full view of those who rejected them. Think of the seed that is buried. They cover it with soil, as if burying something dead. They don't understand that what is buried is alive, growing, gaining strength to break through the surface with power. The same was true for you. They hid you, but they didn't know they were protecting you. They silenced you, but they didn't realize they were allowing you to hear God's voice. Now, the ground trembles. Your time has come, and your presence will not only be noticed, it will be impossible to ignore. Like David, who faced the scorn of his family before being crowned king, you will be placed in a position of glory that no one can contest. What they never understood is that you do not depend on their recognition. Your strength comes from a place much higher, much deeper. While they measured your worth by appearances, God was measuring your heart. They thought they rejected you, but in reality, they were rejecting themselves. Now, with the tables turned, you are a living witness to how God humbles the proud and exalts the humble. They laughed when you had nothing, but now they will have to bow before what you have become. This isn't just revenge, it's divine justice in action. It's proof that no one can extinguish the light of one chosen by God. They said you weren't enough, that you would never measure up. But while they spoke, God was whispering promises into your spirit. I have chosen you, I have set you apart, and in my time, I will exalt you. You were forged in the fire of rejection, but instead of being consumed, you became indestructible. Now, every door that was closed serves as a reminder that it is God who opens doors no one can shut. They underestimated the chosen one that you are, but now they will be confronted by the truth. You were reserved, not rejected. And the exaltation that is coming will be as public as the contempt you faced. Feel now the sound of chains falling, of the walls that surrounded you crumbling down. This is not just a moment of overcoming, it's the beginning of your era. They rejected you because they could not comprehend what God had placed inside you. But what is hidden in the heart of the chosen ones is not meant to be understood by human eyes. Now, the table is set, and you are the guest of honor. Just as the psalm declares that God prepares a table before your enemies, this is your feast. And they, the ones who laughed, who doubted, will watch as you walk in the fullness of the purpose for which you were set apart. The disdain they cast upon you was like wind against a flame. They tried to extinguish your light, but they didn't know they were only feeding a fire that now consumes everything around it. When they looked at you, they saw nobody, but God saw a warrior. They relegated you to the shadows, but it was there that God armed you with strength and wisdom. Now, with the tables turned, you not only emerge but shine as a beacon lighting up the heavens. You are not just back, you are above, in a place they never imagined you could reach. And your ascent will not be forgotten, for it bears the mark of the supernatural. They thought they had won, but God is the author who rewrites stories. Every chapter that seemed lost, every page marked by pain, was transformed into a narrative of redemption. They ignored you as they ignored Job, laughed as they laughed at Noah, but now they watch in silence. Because, as it is written, he who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. The same God who made Joseph the second most powerful man in Egypt is in control of your story. And now, as the tables turn, they will have to face the truth. You are the chosen one, and the exaltation to come is not a result of circumstances but of divine favor. You were set aside, but you were not abandoned. The silence you experienced was not emptiness but the echo of God's promises being engraved on your soul. Just as Jesus was rejected by his own but exalted to God's right hand, your journey shares the same destiny. They rejected you because they could not see what God saw. Now, they will see. Not because you need validation, but because God's plan demands that justice be visible. Your victory will not just be yours, it will be a heavenly declaration that no one can stop what has been chosen and anointed by the Creator. What they don't understand is that your exaltation is not just for you. It is a demonstration of God's power. Every step you took in silence was preparation for the impact that will now be felt by many. God doesn't just turn the tables, He transforms the humbled into living examples of His glory. You are chosen to lead, to inspire, to be proof that those who trust in the Lord will never be put to shame. And as they watch, there will be no room for excuses or doubt. They will know that you were set apart for this moment and that your ascent is both a fulfilled promise and a reminder that God's timing is perfect. What they didn't anticipate is that your apparent fall was merely a step in the divine strategy. Every stone they threw, every word of disdain, every door that was shut became steps leading to your ascent. When they laughed, God had already written the end of the story, and in that ending, you stand triumphant. The world operates in cycles of appearances, but the divine plan moves in depth. Just as Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and fell into disgrace before becoming the governor of Egypt, your journey is destined to silence those who doubted. You are not just a witness to God's power, you are living proof that no one can annul what He has determined. They won't understand how it happened, but they won't be able to deny what has been done. The exaltation of the chosen ones is both an act of justice and a testimony of redemption. It's not just about showing the world who you are but revealing God's character through you. When they ignored you, they underestimated not only you but the one who chose you. Their ignorance of the divine plan changed nothing, on the contrary, it reaffirmed the need for God to act in a way that no one could question. Now, as you rise, the world is forced to acknowledge the divine presence in your story. Your life is a stage, and the audience, composed of those who rejected you, is captivated by the spectacle they cannot avoid. Just as the Pharisees were silenced by the resurrection of Jesus, those who scorned you will be silenced by the magnitude of your victory. They saw you fallen and assumed it was the end. What a foolish mistake to underestimate a chosen one. God never allowed failure to be your destiny, He simply used the valleys to prepare you for the mountains. While they watched from afar, thinking the silence was a sign of abandonment, God was equipping you with strength, wisdom, and grace. Now, the tables have turned, and not only are you standing, but you are elevated above anything they could imagine. This moment is not just about your ascent, it's a divine reminder that the humbled will be exalted. Those who refuse to help you will now face the grandeur of who you have become. They won't be able to look away because the brilliance of your exaltation is undeniable. You never needed their approval, but God will ensure they see what they tried to ignore. Just as David was anointed in front of the brothers who scorned him, God delights in turning rejection into revelation. They may have forgotten your name, but God never removed you from His plan. Every tear you shed in secret, every prayer that seemed unanswered, was counted and kept. Now, the time has come. The glory resting upon you is not the result of your circumstances but of divine purpose. They won't be able to deny it. What was once just a promise in your heart is now a visible reality. You have been set apart, shaped, and exalted, and it will be as clear as the sun in the sky. The elevation of the chosen ones is not just a reversal of destiny, it is a proclamation that God is in absolute control. Those who thought they had silenced you are now bewildered by the power of your voice. The one who seemed forgotten now leads, not just with authority but with grace. You didn't settle for mere survival, you thrived, and that prosperity echoes as a testament to God's perfect timing. When the chosen ones rise, the world shifts. It's not just about vengeance or triumph, it's about restoring divine order and proving that God is faithful to His word. And you, with every step you take, carry that faithfulness as a banner, reminding everyone that the impossible is just a detail when it comes to divine purpose. Do not underestimate the impact your journey will have on those who once rejected you. God doesn't just turn the tables, He transforms the entire scene, and you are the protagonist of this transformation. As those who laughed and doubted watch, your achievements become a living reminder that the divine purpose cannot be stopped. Just as Moses, who was rejected by his own when he tried to protect them but returned as the deliverer of Israel, your story will be marked by a triumphant return. They will see you at the center, not because you sought validation but because God ensured your exaltation would be public. Every step of your journey, every silence endured, was a foreshadowing of what was to come. Now, every eye that once ignored you will be compelled to recognize the brilliance God placed in you. Remember, rejection was never the end of your story but the beginning of a chapter written by God's hand. They may have set you aside, but it was in that space that divine purpose flourished. Just as Esther was hidden in the palace before being exalted as queen to save her people, you were prepared in secret for something beyond human expectation. They don't understand how someone who seemed so insignificant now walks with such strength, but that is the essence of being chosen. Your exaltation is not just a personal victory, it is a public demonstration that God does not forget His promises. And while those who underestimated you struggle to comprehend, you will move forward because your journey does not depend on them but on the one who called you. Every tear you shed in silence, every struggle faced in secret, was seen by God. They forgot you, but He carried you. What seemed like abandonment was actually the construction of something greater, something they could never comprehend. Just as Hannah, who was ridiculed for her barrenness before being blessed with Samuel, you are about to experience the kind of turnaround only God can orchestrate. The table has not just turned, it has been transformed into an altar where God's name will be exalted through your life. Every word of doubt they spoke will be nullified by the strength of the testimony you now carry. Your exaltation will be as visible as the disdain once was, and none of them will be able to deny what God has done. But even so, if you feel like you're on a solitary and sometimes challenging journey as a chosen one, our ebook can be a valuable resource for you. Inside, you'll find guidance and insights to illuminate your path and help you better understand your unique experiences and gifts. Furthermore, by joining us and acquiring the ebook, you will gain access to our exclusive Discord community. This group is a space where many have already found support, understanding, and care. It's a place to share, learn, and grow together, where your unique experiences are valued and your progress is celebrated. Imagine being part of a community that truly understands and supports who you are. Check out the first pinned comment on this video. You don't need to seek revenge, for God has already established justice. Those who underestimated you will become the very ones who witness your ascent. Not because you wish to humiliate them, but because God always fulfills His promises in a way the world cannot ignore. Just as Daniel was thrown into the lion's den and came out unscathed, your journey will be marked by moments where the impossible becomes reality. God doesn't do things halfway, He is a God of fullness, and you are the evidence of that. They will see your life and have no choice but to acknowledge that you are chosen. Every step you take toward your purpose resonates as a reminder that those who trust in God will never be put to shame. Make no mistake, your exaltation is not just for your personal glory but for the impact it will have on many. God turns the tables not so the chosen can boast, but so the world can see the power of His hand. Just as Noah endured ridicule while building the ark, you endured mockery and scorn, but now your obedience becomes your victory. What they didn't understand is that every act of rejection only reinforced the foundation of what God was building. Now, your ascent is a beacon that guides others, a living testimony that the divine plan always prevails. And as you move forward, they will remain behind, watching, for this is God's purpose, to turn rejection into redemption, scorn into glory. When God decides to exalt the chosen, He doesn't do it in secret. The same stage where you were rejected becomes the site of your greatest victory. Those who looked at you with disdain are now compelled to watch as God elevates you beyond the limitations they tried to impose. Just as Joseph was taken from prison to interpret Pharaoh's dreams and became governor, you too will be called to a place of honor where your impact will be undeniable. Every moment of silence you endured was a testament to God's faithfulness, setting the stage for something so grand that even skeptics will not be able to deny it. This is not just a personal victory, it is a declaration that the chosen are protected and guided by the divine hand, regardless of circumstances. They thought they could define who you would be, but God's power is greater than any human opinion. You have been placed on a path that no one else can walk, and now the road that once seemed dark is illuminated by the glory of God's promise. Just as Moses was called from obscurity to lead an entire nation, you too have been chosen for something far greater than those who underestimated you can comprehend. They didn't see the potential God planted in you, but now they will be forced to face the reality. Your life is living proof of God's transformative power. Every step you took in obedience was a seed planted, and now the world witnesses the abundant harvest that could only come from divine favor. It's remarkable how those who once ignored you now cannot look away when God decides to act. They underestimated not only you but the very plan of God. While they tried to extinguish your light, God was igniting a flame that now illuminates everything around. Just as David was anointed amidst the scorn of his brothers, you too will be exalted before those who disregarded you. Not out of vanity, but because God's glory manifests through the chosen in an undeniable way. They will see that every challenge you faced was a stepping stone, every rejection an opportunity for God to demonstrate His power. Your life is now a living testimony that those who wait on the Lord not only win but triumph in ways that no one can contest. The silence that once seemed unbearable is now understood as part of God's perfect plan. While they saw your struggle as defeat, God was building your victory. It was no coincidence that you faced such deep valleys. They were necessary to prepare you for the mountains you are now climbing. Just as Esther was strategically placed in the palace to save her people, you too have been positioned for a purpose that transcends understanding. They cannot fathom how someone who seemed so insignificant now shines with such intense light, but that's what happens when the chosen are exalted. There is no human logic to explain what is divine work, and that is precisely what makes your victory so powerful. You are not just a survivor, you are a transformative force shaped by the Creator Himself. Every attempt they made to silence you only amplified the message God wanted to convey through you. Just as Daniel emerged unharmed from the lion's den, you are emerging from circumstances that seemed impossible. Now, with the tables turned, your life becomes a platform to demonstrate that nothing can stop God's plans. They will see that rejection was merely a prelude to something far greater, something even your boldest critics could not predict. Your journey is not just about you, it's about how God uses the chosen to defy expectations and reveal His glory. They will not only see your ascent, they will feel its impact in their own lives. They believed they could ignore you without consequence, but they didn't know they were dealing with the chosen one. God sees everything, and every injustice you endured was recorded in the book of time, waiting for the perfect moment to be reversed. Just as Job lost everything and was scorned even by his friends, only to receive double in the end, you are being repositioned for something far greater than what was lost. They will watch, astonished, as blessings overflow in your life. And it won't just be material possessions or recognition, it will be the strength, resilience, and grace that God cultivated in you during the waiting period. Your exaltation will not just be a personal triumph but a reminder that God is faithful and never abandons His own. Every time they rejected you, you were pushed closer to the divine plan. While they tried to push you away from the center, they were placing you in the exact position where God wanted you to be. Just as Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, only to become their savior, you too will see that what seemed like betrayal was actually an essential step in your exaltation. The greatness of the chosen is not built on human foundations, it is grounded in God's will, which uses even the malicious intentions of others to create something glorious. Now, as the tables turn, they will be forced to recognize that every move they made against you was used in your favor. There is no resisting the power of a purpose that comes from above. Your ascent is not just a surprise, it is a revolution. Those who thought they could define your destiny are now faced with something that defies everything they believed. God chooses the rejected to show that His glory does not depend on human expectations. Just as the young shepherd David defeated the giant Goliath, you are destined to overcome the obstacles placed in your path. And this doesn't happen in secret. God ensures the world sees it. Every gaze that once turned away is now fixed on you, not because of who you are, but because of what God has done in you. They will see that your strength does not come from yourself but from an eternal, unshakable source. Your exaltation is a proclamation that heaven reigns and that the chosen cannot be stopped. The power of God not only exalts you, it transforms the environment around you. Those who ignored you will witness the impact of your presence in every space you occupy. Just as Esther changed the destiny of an entire nation when she was exalted as queen, your ascent will not be just about you. God is using you as an instrument to bring change, hope, and renewal to many. They thought you were alone, but they didn't know that the heavenly army was by your side, fighting silently as you waited. Now, as the tables turn, they will not only see your victory, they will feel the weight of the purpose it carries. Your story is proof that God never forgets His own and that everything, absolutely everything, works for the good of those who love Him. There is a weight to the glory that God pours upon the chosen, and it is that weight that keeps them steady even as the tables turn. Those who scorned you will see that your victory is not fleeting, it is enduring because it was built upon the solid rock of divine purpose. Just as Jesus endured the cross before being exalted to the right hand of God, your journey passed through deep valleys before reaching the highest peaks. And now, with the tables turned, you carry not just the weight of your victory but also the weight of the responsibility to lead, to inspire, and to be a living testimony. They will not be able to deny the impact of your life because every step you took was guided by the author of the universe. This is your moment, and it was written long before they even knew who you were. You are now in a place where the voices of the past can no longer reach you. The words of doubt, the veiled criticisms, the malicious rejections, all of that has been silenced by the sound of the glory God has revealed through you. Those who once turned their backs on you now look at you with surprise and, in many cases, reverence. This is more than a reversal, it is the fulfillment of a divine promise. Just as Daniel was elevated to a position of influence in an empire that sought to silence him, you have been placed in a space where your voice resonates with authority. It's not just your ascent that intrigues them, but the fact that you remained faithful throughout the process. Your resilience is not only admirable, it is undeniable. They see it and recognize that something greater is at work in your life. They weren't ready for this, but the exaltation of the chosen is never something that can be anticipated by natural minds. The world values the immediate, the obvious, the superficial. But God works in the deep, the hidden, the unexpected. Just as the people of Israel could never have imagined that a man like Moses, exiled and discredited, would become their deliverer, those who rejected you could never comprehend what was being forged within you. Now, with the tables turned, what was hidden has been revealed, and they cannot ignore the weight of the purpose you carry. It's not just about victory, it's about the transformation that comes with it. You are no longer the same person they dismissed, and that is what makes your ascent so impossible to deny. Every rejection you faced was a strategic move in the hand of God, positioning you for something beyond human comprehension. Just as Joseph was thrown into prison before ascending to the palace, God was turning every apparent defeat into a step toward your exaltation. While others thought they were pushing you away, they were, in reality, placing you at the very center of divine will. Now, the tables have turned, and those who once doubted cannot understand how you've made it this far. They don't know that your destiny was never under their control but always in the hands of God, who writes every detail of the chosen one's stories with perfection and eternal purpose. Your exaltation is not just a moment of triumph, it is a testament to how you endured pain with dignity and rejection with grace. They expected you to be crushed under the weight of hardship, but every blow you received made you more resilient. Just as Job was restored double for all he had lost, you now experience God's favor in its fullness. Your story shines brightly, forcing even those who rejected you to reconsider their attitudes. Now, every wound you bore has become a symbol of victory, a living reminder that the chosen ones always prevail. Your ascent not only inspires but confirms the power of divine faithfulness. The greatest mistake they made was underestimating the God who chose you. They believed they could extinguish your light, but they didn't understand that you were never alone. While they ignored you, God was preparing a table before them, anointing your head with oil, and making your cup overflow, just as in Psalm 23. Your exaltation is not just a personal victory, it is living proof that God does not look at appearances but at the heart. And yours was approved by the Creator. Now, with the tables turned, the extraordinary work God has done in your life is undeniable. Your story is not about vengeance but divine justice, a powerful reminder that no one can stop God's plan for the chosen ones. Your ascent is just the beginning of an even greater work God is doing in your life. They may think the peak has been reached, but God is far from finished. Just as David was anointed king long before he occupied the throne, you are on a continuous journey of preparation for something even more magnificent. They try to rationalize your path, but no earthly explanation can comprehend what is heavenly. You have become living evidence that God uses the rejected to confound the wise. Your story transcends expectations and has become a testimony that echoes beyond those who doubted. God doesn't just fulfill His promises, He exceeds them in ways no one could predict or explain. Every rejection you faced was transformed by God into a step toward your ascent. Those who cast stones now see that these same stones have become the foundation of God's purpose in your life. Just as Esther was strategically positioned in the palace to save a nation, your exaltation carries an impact that goes beyond yourself. Those who once ignored you now watch in silence, trying to understand how someone who seemed so insignificant can now carry such influence. But that is the power of God. He turns the end others planned for you into a glorious new beginning. Your ascent is not just a personal triumph, it is a declaration that God's plan can never be thwarted. Your story is now impossible to ignore because it reflects the greatness of God's plan in action. Those who once avoided you are now drawn to the radiance of your presence, a radiance that can only come from the Creator. Just as Moses returned to Egypt to liberate his people, you have been repositioned to bring transformation to the environment around you. The space where you were rejected has become the stage for your greatest influence. Your victory is not about proving something to them, it is about manifesting divine justice that exalts the humble and confirms the chosen. Every step you took was guided by God's hand, and now your life is a powerful reminder that no one can extinguish what He has determined to shine. The story you carry is far greater than you ever imagined. Every rejection, every moment of silence, and every obstacle was part of a divine plan to prepare, strengthen, and position you. Today, you are living evidence that the tables always turn for the chosen ones. Your triumph is not just a victory, it is a testimony for all who doubted, for those who waited, and for those still walking in faith. God has not only exalted you but has also used your life as a beacon of hope, lighting the way for others who face similar struggles. If this message touched your heart and brought clarity to your journey, I invite you to click the like button below and subscribe to the channel right now. This is not just a gesture, it's a way to show that you recognize the power of these words and want more people to be reached by this transformative message. Don't forget to check the first pinned comment if you feel alone or misunderstood as a chosen one. In our ebook, you'll find guidance to illuminate your path and understand your unique gifts. Get it now and gain access to our exclusive Discord community, where you'll find support and understanding. Join us and share your experiences in a welcoming space. Plus, gain access to unique and exclusive content. Also, share this message with someone you know who needs to hear it and leave a comment about what you love most about the video. While you're commenting, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who supports us through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support helps us improve our videos every day and continue to deliver the best content possible. If you'd like to support us as well, the link is in the first pinned comment. And before you go, check out the recommended video on the screen or explore the playlist on the secrets of the chosen ones. There's so much more waiting for you because your journey is just beginning. Remember, the tables always turn for the chosen ones. May your path be guided by the certainty that the divine plan is perfect. Until we meet again, keep shining with the light God has placed within you.